Hello, uncensored internets, and welcome back to more footage from Frontier Mountains. This time we're fully secured inside the fort, and I'm still pulling away, and, well, no matter how many times I say that, it still comes out wrong. But nevertheless, I'm still doing it. And yeah, if you notice in my hotkeys, actually, I do not have sneak there. Now, unfortunately, I guess that's just a newbie mistake. It's very necessary to have sneak if you're going to be split pulling, and I guess the only caveat here is that this area really is not hospitable to split pulling. You're not going to be trying any of it out. It's not anywhere in sight. Maybe a couple areas. There's a hut over in the far left corner that may need split pulling because there are two mobs in there, but if you kind of squirm around the corner at the doorway, you really don't need to use it. So yeah, the only thing you have to worry about and focus on are ads like this. Now this was called out before I went out and picked this one up, but I figured, hey, what the hell? Just have another one along for the ride, and we can always have it mezzed, just like right there. And yeah, go back and start wailing on this guy. And that way we've pretty much tagged two mobs, and we don't have to worry about anyone else picking them up. But like I said in the previous episode, there's only one or two other people here, and we really don't have too much to worry about. So yeah, it's pretty much just steady coasting from here on out. Everything's peachy. It's fine and dandy. And yeah, so that's pretty much this whole area. There's not too much to focus on or worry about. In the front area, mostly just blue mobs. Those are the lower level. And as you go further back into the mines, that's where you get the red cons. In that two double up hut over there in the far left corner, like I said, those are the higher cons, the mountain giant brays, or however you pronounce those. Um, but yeah, everything's pretty much kind of sequestered in its own little area, kind of sanctioned off. So you don't have too much to worry about. Everything's in its own place, in its right place, and that makes it very, very hospitable for grouping, and especially if you're pulling. This is a puller's delight. You don't have to stress out or focus on too many ads. A lot of the bobbing and weaving is occurs in the center area, and you just pull along to the side, and you're good. So yeah, all that out of the way, I want to go ahead and talk about some things on the forums. I know some of you peruse them occasionally. I happen to, poke my nose in there from time to time, and it is interesting. There are flame wars and whatnot, and I guess that's to be expected. Uh, but yeah, I just found a interesting little thread. God damn it. Interesting thread on there about Luclin models, basically. And it was talking about whether or not they should possibly disable the option of having Luclin models up. I don't really have a huge opinion on the matter, but that said, I was not a big fan of Luclin models, to be quite frank. Uh, I don't know. I think I was talking to someone else on other forums in previous years, quite a while ago, about the very fact of Luclin models and translocators and the bazaar and whatnot. They were a little bit more, adamant about their opinion than I was. But yeah, they kind of described it pretty well in the disproportionate kind of factor in Luclin models, at least in how I feel about them. They said it was basically like Nerf balls and Nerf equipment kind of duct taped together and saran wrapped and then kind of compressed. And I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of what was going on there. Wasn't a huge fan of the Luclin expansion, but that said, I didn't hate it. I wasn't around for it really. I did have a brief return to the game, I believe somewhere around, oh god, I forget, 2002, somewhere around there. Whenever Luclin came out, a little bit after that, because I remember halflings could be rangers and paladins, and so could gnomes could be paladins and shadow knights. So yeah, that's that. And I do remember they changed the models of the skeletons. I didn't hate those, but I still preferred the old ones to the newer versions. And they also changed the models of wolves, which I guess they ran more realistically. There was more fluid movement, but it just I don't know. It just didn't have the same feel. But whatever, to each his own. As you can see, we have another ad here. Now I don't know if the enchanter was low on mana or whatnot, but Well, that's not too much of a problem. These are just Tumps and Craigs, and we can take them out. We can dispatch them without a problem. And yeah, that's how that cookie crumbles. And nobody says that anymore. God, I'm like living in the 90s still, I guess. But that's what's pretty interesting about this game. It's kind of a touchstone for the late 90s. The graphics themselves are very indicative of those times, I think, because it's very I don't know. It has a Turok kind of texture to it. Um, I don't know. It's like a lot of games, and that's the pretty interesting thing about it. I always wondered what the influence was for EverQuest. I know a lot of people said D&D. I'm sure Magic the Gathering had some influence. I'm not sure actually how old that card game is. Um, and I can't understand it for the life of me. I had a friend that was huge into Magic the Gathering, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's just really esoteric. He kept trying to explain it to me, and I can understand chess. I got you with Risk, and Go Fish. I'm a master man, Uh, but that game, well, turn the cards sideways, and now you have reach, and I want to learn. I think it's really cool. I like the art. I'm intrigued. I'm interested, but I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm baffled. It's like with women. I'm intrigued. I'm interested, but I have no clue what's going on up there. Uh, what are you doing? I'm I'm kind of just at a loss for words, really. But all that said, yeah, that's I don't know. It's kind of a mystery, EverQuest, how it all kind of came together. I don't know. It's convergence of a lot of different ideas, I think. And that was which was really interesting because I was in South Carolina not too long ago, and I kind of just gave out some gold pieces that I had because I was getting very weighed down. I gave it to a dwarf, and he started talking to me about random stuff. But interestingly enough, the topic of this game and its kind of infrastructure came up, and he told me about this book. I think it's called The EverQuest Companion. I don't know, I forget. I'll link it in the bottom. My brain's such a piece of shit. I'm turning into a Winnebago man. We got flies. We got flies on the screen. We got two flies. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. He told me about this book, and in it, it goes on to describe the whole process of how they came about, creating EverQuest and what it took to do it. The finances and whatnot, the conceptual art. But it also went on to describe, and I haven't read it yet, but based on his review of it, he said that it was a really good read, and it described how basically Kunark was not going to be an expansion. It was going to be involved with the first release, but they were really cramped on time and trying to get this game out there real quick. So they just sped up the process, cut this part off, and we're going to just kind of, put it on hold until, a later date. And as we can see, that's exactly what happened. And I think that's pretty interesting because that is a kind of a massive undertaking to want to have this included as well. And apparently they even had a bit of Velios in mind, which is pretty astounding. Now, obviously, they just stuck with PvP and Classic, and they left it alone there for, I don't know how long it was. Was it like 9 months? I don't know. I forget. I know that the today's EverQuest, whenever they go back a bit, they wait about 6 months for each release. But I don't think it was that long. I think it was longer. Um, but yeah, that's just pretty baffling to me. I don't know. And there's a lot of other stuff in there that I really want to read, so I may pick that up and give a slight review of it later on. That kind of stuff just kind of, I don't know, it rocks my world. Because, I don't know, it's just something about this game that was really, really, really cool. And it just kind of escapes me, really, because, looking at it now, it has aged. It aged well, in my opinion. But it's very basic. It has very, primal ways of doing things, and on the same hand, actually, each zone has its own unique pathing, and you have to learn it. And oh god, am I learning it? It's a pain. I mean, there are certain behaviors that all mobs kind of have. If you get around a wall, or as I've learned painfully in groups, if you're pulling them down the stairs on this server, there's a bug. Some of them path through walls. If you can get out of the line of sight by getting into a valley, you can avoid a lot of the caster mobs. That is a really cool pro tip somebody gave me. I'm going to have to try that out. I haven't had the time to so far, and really haven't had the wherewithal to either. but I'm gonna have to try it out because, well, the planes are on the horizon, and that kind of sounded redundant. But you know, you've got the plane of fear, the plane of hate. I think those are the two that are slotted. Those are the two earliest ones that are uh, going to be a green lighted, and that is going to be an interesting moment because I've seen some footage from that, especially from hate, and it does not look pretty. You gotta know your stuff. So, well, you know, what are you gonna do? Some things you can't control, and you gotta try to deal with them as best you can. It should be interesting to find out how I deal with that. But right now, this is all there is to it. Gotta focus on pulling mobs in Frontier Mountains. Now, yeah, there's going to be one more part to this little session here in Frontier Mountains, and then we're going to move on to Mistmore, and that was an ordeal itself. Not the funnest time, but that said, I did get some fat loots, if you will. Yeah, I kind of got lucky, I guess, but well, I'll save that for the old YouTubes, and I won't blabber and blab on about it. But but yeah, that was an interesting moment talking to that guy in South Carolina about the book and all other kinds of things. He had all these kind of historical references and whatnot. I think he was a history major. I'm not too sure, but my God, I got owned up on. Uh, I got learned. My brain felt like a swollen grapefruit after I was done. It was all chock full of information that I couldn't handle. But yeah, here's this really cool moment. Now, the monk here who was soloing, he could not take this mob, and so as you can see, it's pretty much past half health. And he had a feign death, and now met up, and woe is him. But his poor misfortune is our shining moment to enjoy, and we are going to enjoy it to the fullest extent because that is vendor trash, and we need all the plant we can get because these guys are kind of stingy. Uh, Strangely enough, people say that they get forest loots, forest loops off these bad boys. I have yet to see one, and well, I challenge anyone to present me with a forest loop from here, and I will gladly take it off your hands, and you can prove me wrong. There you go. There, you can have that. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, I have not seen one drop off these guys. It doesn't happen ever, and I've been here for quite some time. Worslick Woods, I believe I got like 4 or 5, and it was in a relatively short period of time. And then there was these long, barren stretches of just nothing. But it was better there than it was here. Just saying, just saying. Not ragging on this area. Like I said before, it certainly is my favorite spot in the game so far, and especially for pulling because it's just absolutely easy. This is like the Play-Doh version, the Lego version of pulling. I mean, you're on a flat playing field. Everything's kind of put in its little right place and set aside, and you really don't have to worry about anything. So yeah, if you have to pull here, feel really good about it because it's going to be very very easy, and you're not going to have any problems. So yeah. Now I kind of want to have to segue here real quick because interestingly enough, I just found out my YouTube account is now allowing me 15 minutes plus to upload. Before it was like cut off at 15 minutes, and I'm like, what the hell? So that'll make it easier for editing, and I can add more minutes onto it, and it won't be all chopped up. That's always nice. Unfortunately, I'll have to talk more, or maybe I'll just shut up. I don't know. But yeah, that's cool. And also on the horizon is some Skyrim. I'm ordering it. I'm ordering it tonight. The hell with it, I've waited long enough. Everyone else has had their fun. It's time I get some of that nice action, and I'm going to have some violence in my life that's going to be inflicted upon various trolls and dragons and whatnot. So I will be uploading some of that footage in the upcoming days, but I will keep the Everquest footage steady. And until next time, well, keep on rocking in the free world.